Auto Web. Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Auto Web. Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the blind phone master. And across from me, I got my main man, the host with the most, Mr. Sean V. Bradley, CSP, millionaire car salesman himself. What's up, Sean?
Marco Polo, where am I at right now?
You're in the same spot. You're on Zoom. Let's go.
All right. So, this is SVB, and the place to be, and the place to be is the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast.
Don't you know it?
And, man, LA, why don't you introduce this brother right here, because we got a special guest. Yeah.
Absolutely. This guy is absolutely phenomenal. We can proudly say that, he's been hanging out with us every single morning in our morning motivation, inspiration, and conversation room. He gives of himself. He is the president of the NAMAD, right? He's got his own dealership now. So I just want y'all to give it up for the one and only Mr. Damon Lester.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
I'm doing great, but I got a confession. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been in the automotive industry for 22 years, and I keep butchering. Whenever I want to introduce you, I say the president of the National Minority Auto Dealer Association, but then I got to go onto Google to
pull it up.
go like this to pull it up so I can say it correctly, because he's not I'm mad, he's NAMAD, which is the National Association of Minority Auto Dealers. Mm-hmm. But it's a little awkward for me to say it like that. It's just easier. I don't know why my brain goes in National Minority Dealer Association, but it's officially the National Association of Minority Auto Dealers. So explain to us what NAMAD is and why is it that you guys exist?
Oh man, well first, thank you for putting us on, man. I appreciate it. And LA, man, I got to get you to do some beats for me because you are on point.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so NAMAD again is National Association Minority Automobile Dealers, and we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization headquartered in Maryland. And we represent ethnic minority new car dealerships in the country, and that's African American, Asian, Latino, and Native American. And so our overall mission or goal is to increase the number of minority-owned new car dealerships in the U.S. Currently, there's about 18,000 new car dealerships, and out of that 18,000, there's about 1,200 and close to 1,250 are minority-owned. And so you have 6% representation in the industry, but our buying power, that buying power of representing ethnic minorities, is well over 30% of all new cars and trucks.
So why is that though? Why is it that, minorities represent about a third of the market, but yet only 6% have their own dealerships?
Largely because, Sean, we people of color weren't allowed to become dealers until the post-civil rights movement, right? Mm. So you're looking at 1967, 68 is when we were absolutely able to become new car dealers, and so our having a seat at the table, so to speak, didn't start until another 40 to 60 years after non-minority dealers started their stores and were able to get their dealerships, and so we came kind of, let's say, late to the table, so to speak, because of civil rights issues and not having equal access to others. And so our organizations was formed to try to create parity. And parity to us means hopefully at a minimum, the buying power marries the dealer body, our dealer representation.
So in the last 20 years, has the number moved up a little bit or not at all?
It's gone up and down, right? We took about a 40% cut or hit as a result of the recession and the bankruptcy of General Motors and Chrysler. And so that in of itself was just horrendous on how that broke a lot of creation of generational wealth for a lot of people. And so, at our peak, which is probably about 2005, we had about 2,200 minority dealers in the country. And so, we dropped down to about 900 after the recession.
Wow. And so, but that blows me away, because if you guys only represented 6% of the dealers, why did 40% of the minorities get hit? Because they're minorities, so they're the first on the chopping block?
It was pretty much like the first in, first last out, right? First in, first
Yeah,
out.
yeah, okay.
And so you look at
Like a real life horror movie.
right. It really was, and it was a horror movie of all horror movies because of the fact that these individuals were first time owners.
Mm.
And the formula for which the manufacturers and the government looked at that during that point in time to cut was, some was performance based, some was some biases or unbiased and unbiasedness going on there, and they decided to pick those people and those dealers who were high performing points stores, and so our stores historically have been in areas where it's not as economically viable. And the sizes of our stores have historically been extremely small in comparison to larger dealer groups. And so you look at scale, as our industry is creating another version of scale right now. The bigger guys are gobbling up the smaller guys and the medium-sized guys as well.
So for minorities in the automotive industry, is it a realistic possibility that they could, like in 2021, like if you're not a dealer principal in 2021, 2022, what is what is the reality of the possibility of actually owning your own franchise dealership as a minority?
You know what? It is a reality because I'm a testament of that happening, right? And so, the issue with us and historically has been access to capital, having the opportunity, and having the wherewithal to be able to get one of these types of stores, right? And those three things need to line up: access, opportunity, and capital. And the opportunities are there. The capital has been historically been a large issue for us to obtain. And as you know, you in LA know that the price of entry into this industry in this year of 2021 is at a ridiculously all-time high to try to buy an existing store. And so we have definitely worked with every manufacturer, every auto manufacturer to come up with some diversity and inclusion initiatives to allow minorities to have access to buying their first store or getting an open point that they have to build from ground up. And so some manufacturers, we do a better job, or some manufacturers do a better job than others in doing that appointment and having that hard diversity push. But at the end of the day, it's capital. And one of the things that we do work with the manufacturers are, as well as banks too, now is just to make sure that you have to have a program or a financing mechanism to be able to fund these types of deals at these types of prices right now. Otherwise, it only allows those who are rich and richer to get rich. And so you have Wall Street coming into our industry now because they see it's lucrative. And we see that Warren Buffett is in our industry now, and he doesn't get in any industry without seeing it being a lucrative business investment for him.
Right.
Exactly.
And so when you put all of those things together, right, it's definitely a hard entry or difficult entry point to get into without the capital.
So walk us through the process. Okay. So if somebody wants to be a franchise dealer, let's just say my crazy ass wanted to, like, with 22 years experience at a very high level, if I wanted to become a franchise dealer, first of all, in most states, I couldn't because I'm a convicted felon. Even though it happened 25 years, 26, 27 years ago, I wouldn't qualify for a franchise. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
I got your
In
back,
any
Sean.
state, or just yeah. So,
The
but
blind
could
guy.
I? Let's just say L.A. Williams. L.A.'s, he's got a couple different minorities. He's a black blind Jew, so there's got to be a lot of like check boxes we could get for him, right? So let's say L.A. is a black blind Jew without a federal record. He could become a DP, and I could be a partner of his. Is that legal?
Correct.
Okay,
You can be a
good.
partner. You can be a partner as an investor,
Right. Okay. And
right?
as long as I wasn't the majority shareholder, is that
Correct.
correct?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to trust LA. All right, so I have to trust LA. So if he's got 51, I got 49. So let's just say me and LA were a team, right? Or my wife, because
Right.
she's Puerto Rican, she's a minority, and so and plus she's a female. So let's just say that me or my wife, or me and my wife in LA, you know what I mean? let's say us three, wanted to open up a dealership. One of the two would have to be the primary, understood. What are the steps that we'd have to do? And in your professional opinion, which franchise we have the highest probability of success? Because getting a Toyota or a Honda franchise is probably just not going to happen. So what kind of franchise would we have the best shot of getting?
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hundreds of dealers have switched to VinQ in 2020. For a limited time, VinQ will match any special trial offers the other guys are throwing out there. With VinQ, replace 5 systems with one solution: market pricing, inventory management, wholesale and private party acquisitions, advertising, and reconditioning. Don't miss out on the chance for better data, increased churn, and higher gross per sale. Stop competing on price alone and start competing on value with VinQ. Request a live look at VinQ.com.
Okay, so first to get in, right? You have to. There's 2 ways to get in. You can purchase or acquire an existing dealership, in which that transaction occurs between you and the seller. The manufacturer at that point only operates or enters in it to approve.
Wait a minute, this sounds like some gang rules. There's 2 ways to get in. You get jumped in or blessed in. Okay, okay.
It's either red pill or green pill, the other one you want, right? So pretty much that's what it's like, right? And so you got that part from the acquisition standpoint, in which you and the seller connect and y'all make an offer and you require it, manufacturer has to approve it. The other one, which is the I would say the most challenging one, and the lowest hanging fruit for us as a point of entry, is we call open points. And open points means manufacturer said, hey, we want to put a store in Long Island City, New York. And everybody and their mother goes and puts a proposal together, and you and your wife in LA need to put a proposal together, and you submit that to the manufacturer. There's an interview process, there's verification of funds. And then after all of those suns and moons start to line up, if they decide to, pick you guys, then you have about, a year or so, 2 years to build that facility. So those are the 2 ways. The best manufacturer right now to get into is General Motors, that has a program for individuals who may lack capital, and which GM will assist in financing.
How does that work? Explain that.
So you, LA, and Karen, your wife would say it's $1 million deal. General Motors will finance 85%, and you have to come up with the 15%. And
That's it.
That's it. And you would pay that back over a period of time only with your profits. So that's how the General Motors, the GM program works. And so that's what we ask all of the manufacturers to come up with a program similar to the General Motors Holding program.
That is absolutely amazing. Okay. And so once let's say we go through this, so let's use some real numbers. So again, if you are saying $1 million, that's what you normally need is $1 million, or do you think you need 2 million?
For a store now, I mean, the store is now going for like $10 million just in Blue Sky or Goodwill. So you need 15% of that. You're looking at 1.52 million.
Oh, okay. So it's not $1 million. We're talking about $10 million to buy. But see, here's my question though. I've known dealers that have had for give an example, Mike DeRazio from Platinum Mitsubishi, they just gave him the Mitsubishi point because he was such an aggressive used car dealer. They just gave him Mitsu for free. And so how is it that it costs 10 million, but then I know dealers that are putting these deals together, that are like they're literally they're less than $1 million out of pocket or $2 million out of pocket. Like, how are they getting all these little backward country club deals?
Because if you're in the country club, you can do country club deals, right? And so I'm talking like for persons that don't have membership, right? So membership has its privileges, and if you're already a dealer, it's easy to move around and maneuver amongst other franchises if you're already in, right? And so for us, trying to get in, hard, right? So that type of initiation is beyond and above hazing to a certain extent, because you have zero control over this, and people who have the control typically will go to those who or get geared towards the people who they already know, which is people who are already in the country club, right? And so it's hard to get that first one, but once you get to first one, it seems to get a little easier. Similar to when you buy your first house. That first house is hard,
Right.
But once you have your own home, you know how to maneuver and get that second one.
So did I hear you incorrectly when you said the low hanging fruit? Is it more difficult to do it this way, or just kind of when you just buy it from a person? Do you think that's a little easier?
It's easier to buy it from another dealer.
Right. Okay. Okay. Cool. I must have
Yeah,
misheard you.
Cut your
absolutely.
deal, because you don't, it's too many variables that you have to worry about with an open point. Although it's kind of like an egg, chicken or the egg. The point of entry, right? For a store that you have to build, you need a significant amount of access to capital. One, to purchase your land, then you got to build it, and then you got to wait 2 years. So that's a very cash intensive business with zero income already,
Hmm.
or just zero revenue. And so we try to push the acquisition, right? Because you're acquiring something that already has some income, has staff already at day one. And so it's just a matter of putting your secret sauce to it and trying to keep that going.
Got it.
But the challenge is the upfront amount of cash that it takes to purchase a store. And in many instances, many banks don't finance that portion of blue sky. And that's where the challenge for us to get into.
So now let's talk about the difference of an independent dealership. Because obviously you don't need any rules. You could be a convicted felon. You could have certain, it's a lot easier. And I think there's less drama and some. I know used car dealerships that are outselling and outgrossing like a gargantuan amount franchise dealers. So what are the pros and cons of going franchise, especially at the ridiculous upfront and ante to get into the game? Like, what's
You
the
know what?
benefit?
To be a new car franchise dealer is the benefit is that you're selling that brand. You're selling every new car, truck, or vehicle that brand sells, and so you're
Does it really matter in 2021, 2022 now?
yeah, because you're. I mean, it depends on what the customer wants, right? So new cars will always be new, right? And then they turn into used once someone, that first owner, drives it and decides to trade it or sell it. And so that new car does make a difference because it matters from the standpoint of the service that vehicle needs to have in order for it to maintain its high operability, the types of tools that new car dealerships have access to in comparison to independents, right? So you actually get the actual part that that manufacturer made for that particular vehicle to fix that vehicle, versus in some instances, some of them used car lots don't have those types or access to those types of tools. The warranties, all of those lists go on and on why the benefit of having and owning a franchise dealership. Now, on the flip side, used car dealers, to your point, make a significant amount of cash, and in many instances, they do earn a significant amount of money, more money than used new car dealers, and they carry a variety of brands that customers want to drive and look for. So it depends on the difficult part is to get a new car franchise, and to your point, is not that it's not difficult to own a new car, a used car lot, but the point of entry is less strict.
Right. And then there's also benefits like on the financing. If you're a franchise dealership, they come with, especially, companies like Chrysler, Mitsubishi that buy deep. I mean, so there's definitely a lot of benefits. But like anything else, there's pros and cons, for both. There's pros and cons for franchise, there's pros and cons for independent. And I also think just perception wise, like it's like an independent label versus a major label. I mean, if you're selling, Mercedes or BMW or Fords or Hondas versus like, a used car lot. But again, look at CarMax and look at these amazing independent like conglomerates that are making billions and billions of dollars. It depends what you're looking to do and what the cost for acquisition is. You know what I mean? And you could make a ton of money in the real estate too. So I guess there's different ways that you could get to becoming a dealer, and to like the Platinum story where they started as a used car business and now they had, and it changes like weekly, like the number one Mitsu dealership in the United States, and having the CEO of Mitsubishi fly from Japan to shake Mike DeRazio's hand is just surreal. You know what I mean? So you can get to the front door, but coming from the back of the house. You know what I mean? So there's different ways to get to it. But at the end of the day, here's what I've had, and I gotta tell you, my perception has changed. Like people have asked me over the years, Sean, you're so good at this, and you've helped make over $1.3 billion for your clients, like verified, Damon. Why aren't you doing this? And I'm saying, man, because do you understand that Grant Cardone makes $6 million a month off of selling his subscriptions to his on-demand platform? Why the fuck I want to go through the dealership route and do all the liability, insurance, all the stress, jumping through hoops with the manufacturers, all this other shit, and make less than that. You know what I mean? Like way less than that. So, but now that I've got all this stuff already set up, I actually started talking to a couple of dealers, Damon, and I'm interested in possibly looking at, because can you imagine me as a dealer or as a dealer partner? Like I don't have the bandwidth to be the DP. I would just want to be like a part owner of the dealership, because like all the companies that I work with from my IS20G or the Millionaire Car Salesman group, like all the shit I get for free, like the VinQs of the world, the lead source providers, like Interactive Financial, AutoWeb, like all these companies that I developed 20-year relationships, they would give it to me like I'm Michael Jordan giving me sneakers, and so I would be able to reduce the operational cost, like to a bare minimum, because I get CRMs, websites, SEO, SEM, all the digital stuff I'd get for free or triple, quadruple net cost. And all the stuff that I'm an expert in, I could put my own dealership. And I'm thinking, man, maybe I need to find a partner that's a dealer that I could just partner. And then on top of that, I think it'd help my other business, my consulting business, because I'm watching these companies like Flores,
A-Flow.
right? A-Flow, like he consults dealers, and I'm like, man, like you're in my lane, stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Like, but then I'm laughing. I'm like, like I should get in your lane, bro. I'm saying, if you're coming into my lane, into this training consulting thing, man, don't get me into the dealership lane, because some of you get your feelings hurt, because I'm a beast, in running stuff. And so, what do you think about that idea for the Bradleys as one of our future endeavors? Do you think I'm crazy to think about a dealership, or I'm right on
I
track?
think you are. You would hit a home run.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Attention auto dealers. You need an opportunity to do business. AutoWeb is one of the largest suppliers of high quality leads. I mean, high quality buyers. At a 10% closing ratio, you will be at less than $190 per car sold. Don't just settle for what you get. AutoWeb can fully customize your results through targeted markets and/or zip codes, and as a partner, you will get premium placement within search results. Who better to do that than literally the people that invented automotive internet sales? If you want to sell more cars more often and more profitably, then you need AutoWeb.
And you are the trifecta because of the fact of, one, you understand the business at the 30,000 foot level, the 15,000 foot level, and then at ground zero. And that's an anomaly, right? That's a unicorn to be able to be 360 with it. And so you have, and also that you have the access to other vendors to be able to help you build, let's say, build the perfect team or the dream team, so to speak, by using the platform that you use with Bradley On Demand and all of the training that you have and provide under your portal, that you're grabbing all these little Scooby snacks across the way, right? And you're giving people, you can build that perfect model by taking every best practice that you've heard or every best practice that you've taught and mold that into a perfect store. Is pretty much the unicorn of all unicorns, man. So I think you and I know you would do an awesome job with it. Yep.
I think it's definitely on my radar. And then I'm learning too. Me and LA interviewed this guy named Joel Block. And Joel Block, he's the CEO of Bullseye Cap. But this guy, he's a $1 million speaker in the National Speakers Association. So he's in the elite 20 group with me in the NSA. And what he does is he teaches people how to build hedge funds. So I'm learning about hedge funds, and he's saying that, and I might actually tap you for this, is figuring out a model to be able to say, okay, how much money do we need to raise to be able to buy 1 to 3 stores? You know what I mean? And then being able to raise that type of money, especially at my level, because I've never asked anybody for any money to raise any money. But if I go I have a lot of rich people that I know in and out of the automotive industry. And I'm watching what Cardone has done. Cardone has used crowdsourcing to the ultimate level to buy almost $2.5 billion of real estate. And I think that the same concept and I know there's people that do that. They raise X amount of dollars to buy a couple stores. So I don't know how I'm going to do it, whether I'm going to go in the franchise level, if I'm going to do like, open up a hedge fund, or if I'm going to open up a used car lot, or I'm going to partner. But I think that I have a lot of stuff on my plate right now with the TV show and with that stuff. So I want to let this go for like the next year. And I think, like you said, right now is not the absolute best time to buy because everything is super expensive. But I honestly think I'm in my early 40s. I think that in the next couple, maybe unless something drops on my plate now, but I see that there's a dealership or dealerships in my future. And if for not other reason is I think it's a different perspective too, to be able to say that I could do something and I have these records of all my clients in 26 covers, but to go to a dealer and say, look, not only am I great at this, for other people, but I decided to do it for myself. And look at what happened when I took over this operation. And look at what we did. Matter of fact, why don't you fly to my store and you could see for yourself? I think I'm part of the good old boy, good old girl club, so to speak.
No, I've toyed over and talked to a couple venture capitalist firms over the years and trying to create a NAMAD fund, actually, right? And so because that is the wave of the future to get access to capital without dealing with banks. The challenge that I would say VCs want or Wall Street wants is they want scale, and so they want you to buy let's say a 5 to 10 pack store, and that's 5 different stores or 10 different stores, and you want to bundle them all up, and they want to cut the check. The challenge that I see where we have this hiccup with this model is we need some patient capital to be able to ramp up cash, right? And so we've seen all of these large groups purchasing stores for $100 million, $200 million, damn near $1 billion, and what Buffett did. But we need to build that cash flow to be able to service that debt or to service the equity that Wall Street has fronted. And so in order for that to happen, there has to be a buffer or some type of buffer to allow the dealer operator / partner to, one, build enough cash flow to be able to afford that, two, have it patient enough for Wall Street to know that there is an end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. The challenge has historically been Wall Street wants to get in, they want to get out. And we need at least a 7 to 10 year window to be able to get in the store, have that store to generate a significant amount of cash with a buyout.
Right. And that's the benefit of a hedge fund, because hedge fund, people, when they put their money up, it's not like they're looking for a 1-year turnaround, right? The whole purpose is, hey, listen, I'm putting this money up, I might see a return in 10, 15, 20 years. So that's like the whole benefit of what he was saying about Joel.
Yeah. And that's what is needed, right? And some investment shops, they want to bundle up, a bunch of you call it education hedge funds and stuff like that, and put them all together and then create another fund out of it and do a fund to fund, so to speak. But yeah, LA, you nailed it. But that's really what's needed. And that's what I mean by patient capital.
Fire.
Interesting. So tell us, how's everything going? You just broke a record your first month there. Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, man. We at Nissan Of Bowie, and I closed at the end of April of or last April of 2021, and for the month of May we did 112 new and a significant amount of used, and that store historically hasn't broken 100 in about 3 years. And so we are trending in the right direction with this growth mode, and the store is still, in my opinion, underperforming. It's a 300 new car a month store, and we want to keep moving and pressing and getting processes in place. And I think one of the key things with this transaction, me acquiring the dealership, was we didn't change not one personnel. Everyone stayed in, and I do have a partner, and my partner is the day-to-day operator, and he has a 15% ownership, and he has a vision. We share the vision of growth and being able to run the store in the futuristic standpoint of trying to be aggressive and being able to service Mr. and Mrs. Customer within the Maryland, DC, and Virginia area, but also abroad, that we can ship cars across the country as well. So yeah, we're trending in the right direction. I'm so proud of the team at Nissan Of Bowie, and shout out to Rich, Donna, Steve, and my partner Mike. They nailed it.
You have an amazing team, you have an amazing organization, and the best is yet to come. We've talked about it before. I really believe that you have a 300 car a month organization, and the universe knows it too, and it's not going to take you guys long to get there. I want to give you some advice that I would give every dealer. These are like Sean Bradley's the last 20 years of wisdom that I'd like to, actually 22 years, I'd like to share with you. Can I do that?
Sure, sure.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey, Tim Cox from CarNow, and we would love the privilege and honor to be able to partner with you, our dealer partner, and show you why we continue to be the most awarded communication and digital retailing platform in automotive. What's the buzz about? We'd love to show you why. Please click the link below and let's partner together.
Okay, so I would say that first and foremost, culture. Damon, you really need to build the culture of not only a positivity, but everything that you want, whether it's, respect, it's integrity, it's characters, it's your mission, vision, and values needs to be personified by every person in that organization. Some of the people like Aflo, Alex Flores, Glenn Lundy, these are people that these are, not only are they people, but they're also minorities that have murdered in our industry. What Glenn Lundy did at Dan Cummins Chevrolet is surreal. Like, Glenn is the GM equivalent of like an Ali Retta or a Cody Carter. And so I firmly believe that you have an opportunity. It's got to start from the culture with you. Like, if you set the tone and the pulse of that team, and you make them believe the truth that they could do anything, they could fly, right? I know that R. Kelly's got like a bad rap going on right now, so not my R. Kelly voice, but my Sean Bradley voice. Let them think that they can fly. I think that culture is going to be the biggest, opportunity for you. The second thing I'm going to say is this: is that this is what most dealers do incorrectly. Is they choose marketing over people, and what I mean by that is they invest the majority of their money in marketing, advertising, and branding, and very little to no money in team building, in professional development, in personal development, in training. And I joke around this, and there's some controversy the other day when I said this, but did you hire them dead or kill them after you got them? You know what I mean? And so
That is not a Sean Bradley quote, just a quote for the record. You hear that,
yeah.
LA? It's not a Sean Bradley quote.
Yes. It's
Public
not my
service
quote.
announcement.
Yes. So that's an inside joke, y'all. But again, I'm gonna say it again. Did you hire him dead or kill him after you got him? Which means to me is that there's a 70 to 80% attrition ratio. I don't care what dealership you are, what franchise. Every manufacturer in our industry suffers from attrition, and it's because they don't have the proper recruiting strategies, hiring strategies, and onboarding strategies, and then the personal and professional development. There's not a clear-cut path from employee acquisition to development to, okay, I started as a salesperson as a green pea, but what is my career trajectory? What's my career path from sales to management, sales to internet, sales to BDC, sales to F&I, sales to desk, or whatever it is? CRM. Most CRMs are not set up correctly. They're not utilized correctly. And these are challenges. Accountability from the senior management to the middle management to there. So I want to turn it over to you because we've had these discussions before. Do you think I'm spot on accurate with the feedback I just gave?
No, man, you know what? The day one, when we announced that I was purchasing the store, we had a management team meeting for me. The previous owner, Phil, introduced me to the team, and I gave them my five pillars of what I believe in, and that's character, integrity, hard work, teamwork, and customer first. I probably there was 6, but I asked if you do not share those same types of principles, it's okay. It just may not be the right place for you. And 0 people left. And when I came into the store, my first day, we had another group meeting with all of my staff, is about 72 people. And I shared that with everyone. And I shared my vision of growth. I've shared my vision of teamwork, but I also planted the blueprint for success. And outside of any of the other stores in my area, because they are all large dealer groups, and we are bringing, and we are bringing the grassroots back into auto. Big box matters, but grassroots matters more. And we're going to be involved with our community. Our staff are involved in the community because that's where they live. And we want to make sure that we're going to provide an opportunity for people to grow and be able to provide an opportunity for their families with a pathway to success. One of the things that we did, in the shameless plug with you, is, we use Bradley On Demand for our training mechanism, which the store never had a training track program before. And that, man, just lifted a lot of people's spirits, and just to say, hey, this guy cares about us and our well-being. And just by me doing that, made people believe that they could fly, right? Because now they have some tools. They don't have to putz around and be afraid to ask their manager on how to do this or how to do that, and or figure it out on themselves, right? Or but by using your portal and using your training mechanisms of all of the different modules that you have, they have a place or resource to go to take in, and also adapt it to their own style. And so, it has definitely been an asset to the organization, or to our organization, and using Bradley On Demand, and just having access to ask questions to you. And I think I'm also an anomaly here, like you, is that with my role at NAMAD in the 20 plus years being here in this seat as president, as well as being an owner, the relationships that I have with manufacturers and vendors across the country in this auto space is just so wide that if I pick up the phone, I have that ability to get some help, or get some best practices if need be. And so you're 100% spot on.
Man, again, I like when like-minded people think. LA, what you want to add to that? What advice do you have that he should be on point with as a new dealer?
See, again, Sean, I'm cut from the same cloth, right? You taught me all of this stuff. So when you talk about culture, that's like the number one thing, because environment is everything, right? You can't, if you can't change a person, you can't change this, but you can always, and you got to always say that, what, it's not your responsibility to have people win. Your responsibility is to create an environment for them to win, right? We talk about, the car business being like your own business, right? Empowering your people to literally have their own business. I mean, that's the type of stuff. So, Sean, pretty much everything Mr. Sean Bradley laid out are the key things that you got to do.
All right.
And so I'll just add one more thing. I painted the vision that I want to be number one, not necessarily in the Maryland, D.C., Virginia area. I want to be number one in the country.
Let's go.
There's a store in New York that's doing about 400 cars new. And one of the things that Nissan does, the leadership, they announce, who the top sales, organizations, I think every quarter or so. But I told one of the senior executives at Nissan, I said, you're going to call my name in that meeting. And I mean it, because I see it. I see the vision. I see we can do it. And I can, with this team and adding to this team that we have in place, we will get there, because I want to be number one. I don't want to just be number one in the region. I want to be number one in the country.
That's it.
Similar to, our good friend Ben Stock is over at Honda. And so, I want to be him on the Nissan side. And we have an awesome location. We have a good network of people, and we're going to keep pushing.
Right. But see that, Damon, that's because you're different, right? You have the heart of a champion. We always talk about that there is no test that you could give to a man or a woman to see if they got the heart of a champion. But that's one of those things. A lot of people, they don't want to compete. They're like, oh, I mean, well, I'm okay doing this and I'm okay doing that, and then they end up regretting it later. So I mean, the beginning of the thought process, we talking about begin with the end in mind. You gotta have that vision. I mean, come on, like whoever walks up and says, oh, I'd like to be number two, like that's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, go ahead and be number one. Go ahead and take that shine. Go ahead and step out there. Goodness gracious, you deserve it. Right, but
Yep.
only if you decide that that's something that you're going to be able to do. Because otherwise, you're just going to be bowing to other people at pretty much at all points in time. You don't want to do that.
Oh, that's absolutely right, man.
So Damon, let's go through this. What advice do you have for? I want to get some advice for different audiences, for salespeople. Again, I've been using this lately. My daughter, she's 20 years old. She just broke 20 cars at a Subaru Kia dealership in New Jersey. On the second month on the floor, she broke 20 cars. But she's still young. She's only 20 years old. She's having the time of her life, making a tremendous amount of money. My nephew, Dylan, he just made $12,000. He was making $12 an hour working at the bank as a teller. Now he made $12,000 in 1 month at a Buick GMC dealership in Pennsylvania. So if you're gonna, as my friend, right, if you're gonna talk to my nephew and my daughter, what advice would you give two 20-year-olds that are brand new, less than a year in the automotive industry? How would you tell them to shape their career and about this industry?
After these messages, we'll be right back.
At the very first Dealer eProcess keynote, Gino Ciparroni and Sam Vukas introduced new tools and strategies to drive conversion, new designs to increase customer engagement, and new technologies to dominate the competition. Visit dealereprocess.com/keynote to watch and see what's new in 2021.
We are all our own brand, and we all have to market ourselves as our own brand, right? So from our appearance, the way that we communicate, meaning verbally, the way that we talk to people just by basically interaction, those things matter more than anything, right? So our industry was birthed on relationships. Our industry continues to thrive based on relationships. And for any salesman person, male or female out there, you have to build a relationship and you have to talk to your customer. We use this before, Sean, in LA, like you're dating them. Like, this is a whole courtship process. And we have a stigma with our industry historically that, customers don't trust us. But we as salespeople, we as owners, we have to let customers provide an opportunity for customers to trust us. And largely because customers give us your social security number, your driver's license, we know your address. We got all these key things, right? And if that's not a level of trust and you're not garnering that trust and taking care of that trust as if it's your family member or a close relative, wife, kid, or whatever, then we're doing a bad job. And so I think all salespeople really need to be cognizant of the level of trust that customers provide us on a day-to-day basis, because we have your information and we need to protect that information like it's the quarterback, right? No sacks allowed. And I think, we have to get back to the understanding the importance of relationships and why these relationships provide an opportunity for your brand, because those customers are going to be your marketing piece.
I think that is spot on feedback. Okay, so now what about managers? What advice do you have to sales managers out there about what their real mission and job description is? Because I think a lot of these sales managers, you sit behind the ivory tower, they stop training, they stop educating, they stop building as soon as they become a manager. And I think it's crazy. So what's your advice to your sales managers in general?
Yeah, so if you look at a dealership, kind of similar to like a football team, you got your offense, you got your defense, you got your linebackers coaches, you got your wide receiver coach, you got your quarterback coaches, and those are your management teams, right? And it is up to everyone to be able to continue to motivate, provide guidance, and also monitor the opportunities that your salespeople are getting in order to assist them in closing those deals. And sitting in that ivory tower, does not help because you're sitting down in that ivory tower. Managers need to be up. Managers need to be up and walking around and monitoring the floor, no different than a point guard monitoring the court. And so that's what I've talked to our management team here, and it's like, hey, you got to walk that lot, no different than the salesperson, but you also got to provide some guidance for the new folks, and also stay and hold people accountable for what their goals are, what their monthly goals are. And so I look at them as coaches within their segment.
Yeah. I'm with
LA?
you on that. No, I'm definitely with you on that. Accountability, I think, is the key. That's is the difference between what makes, average organizations and great organizations. And the cool thing about it is not only do managers want to hold their team accountable, but the team wants to be held accountable. I mean, I'm telling you, that's when you know you really got something. So I think you own it.
Yeah, man. You know what? People want to know what their goal is. And some organizations, they kind of just back into success, right?
Mhm.
And oh, I did 10 or I did 15 just by haphazardly just doing it. But if you if someone gives you a goal and you got to hit it, and then that the person said, well, I'm not sure on why I can't hit that goal. I'm gonna steal something what you said on Clubhouse one day. LA was like, well, write the differences why you can't do it. And if you force people to think and then reduce it to writing, then they can believe, right? They believe it because they created their own blueprint to success to hit their goal. And so now it's theirs. They've embodied it. They want to do it. And now it's their own internal competitiveness that they want to make sure that they can achieve. So I stole that one from you, LA.
That's all good. Make sure you give credit, right?
Hey, yeah, this was credited to LA, not us.
Yeah. I don't want you to get blown up on social media and whatnot, but
Exactly.
okay.
So
So
this
now, same question, real quick, LA, because he's got a hard stop very shortly. Is what about dealers and GMs? I mean, these are your people. I mean, being the president of NAMAD for all these years and now being a dealer principal, I think that certain dealers are freaking stubborn. They won't listen to people unless they're dealers or GMs, because nobody understands a dealer or GM unless you're a dealer or GM, which I can understand to a degree. So you are a dealer and GM, and you're also the president of a major association that's worked with, over the years, thousands of DPs and franchise dealerships. So what advice do you have for dealers and GMs, like through this current state of the economy, coming out of a pandemic and going into, 2022, with all this new technology? I mean, there's so much stuff going on. I just watched yesterday on the internet, this guy had a hoverboard in Los Angeles. Like it's like something out of Back to the Future. He's flying through through the streets of LA on a freaking hoverboard drone. And it's the first time that it was super fast. Like it was crazy, just flying above cars. Like, and Tyrese, the actor, said, man, this is like the Jetsons. So between the BMW releasing the iX and i4s and all these electronic stuff, Tesla, all the technology. So we have technology, we have innovation. I don't know, these ancient alien disclosures are coming, whatever's going on, and then you have the pandemic. I mean, it's an interesting time to be a dealer, principal, or GM. So what's your advice to your people?
Man, look, this is an interesting time that we in the new car sales piece side is we're up against the Teslas of the world, the Carvanas of the world, but we have to preach that value of person to person interaction, which we don't, those two organizations really don't. And that's the benefit of being a car dealer, is that you have person to person interaction. At the end of the day, you can go to that dealership and you can speak to someone to handle an issue, challenge, or problem, or even purchase a new vehicle versus doing things on the web, which is good, and we will, our industry is going that way. But at the end of the day, dealerships viability is because we have people there, and those people work and live in those communities where those dealerships reside. And so, I mean, overall, that's pretty much like the 30,000 foot level on the benefit. But I think for me, I have a vision. My partner, who's also the day-to-day operator, he has a vision, and I've never run a dealership in my life. I'm a good business person. I've been in the business for X number of years, so I understand it and I know it. but I have to listen to my people. In many cases, the dealer principal may not want to listen, right? And they may be viable in certain instances, but you have to listen to your people to get to understand what they see, because they're on the ground. And then we have, as leaders or dealers, have to adapt, adjust, and still and execute the vision, but it just may not be the original way or blueprint that, we wanted to achieve that particular goal. But I think we all need to do a better job at listening, and listening to our people, and understanding what they see at the ground level.
Absolutely, man. That's some phenomenal stuff. So, Sean, I know, like I said, folks got to go. I think the message is, do you want to win or not? Right? I think the message is, do you want to continue to have to speak victimese, like my man A-Ray Flo said, right? Or do you just want to daggum win? Are you going to sit and continue to complain about all the stuff that's happening to you? Or are you going to take the daggum bull by the horns? You're going to grab the steering wheel, right, and control the daggum destiny of your life? Like, I just think that's the decision that we have to make. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I always say that you are the average of the 5 people who you spend the most time with, and you've just been spending time with a real life car dealer, Mr. Damon Lester, the millionaire car salesman himself, Mr. Sean V. Bradley, and the blind phone master, L.A. Williams. Go out there and be a millionaire car salesman. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Thank you, guys.
So there you have it, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. This podcast comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest, feel free to contact us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at millionairecarsalesman@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records, produced by Tiana Mick and L.A. Williams. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the millionaire car salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast can be found everywhere, so please don't forget to review, subscribe to, and share the show. Thanks for listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and remember, where I'm from, money provides options. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is sponsored in part by Dealer E-Process, VinQ, and AutoWeb, and Car Now. If you enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.